Ready? Live? Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Monday, the 5th day of Tammuz, corresponding to the 8th day of July. The Lighthouse Torah Project, Le'ilui Nishmat, Devorah Feige Bat Shemuel, and Ora Devorah Bat Rivka, and Refuah Shelema of Menachem Mendel ben Sarah Batia. The iTorah.com dedication for the Shidduchim of Nehama Dina Bat Hanabatia, Eliyahu Haim ben Esther, Sarah Simcha Bat Sofi, Rachel Penina Bat Jenny, and the Edmond J. Safra Synagogue. Today's class dedicated by my family and I has a Seudat Hoda'ah, has a Thanksgiving day to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is important, I'll explain. It is important to remind the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does to us. And obviously, I'm sure that there are miracles that a person experiences every day of their life. And stay tuned for something unbelievable that happened to me this past Friday. But 34 years ago, a day like today, when I came to Florida for my engagement, I experienced a very critical car accident. Very serious car accident. I was in the hospital for a week. I was in rehab for 5 to 6 weeks. Okay, but Baruch Hashem, we leave the car. We had to say Kaddish right away. The car didn't make it. The only usable thing from the vehicle was the steering wheel, and everything else was a total loss. I remember that I flew in from Brooklyn, and my family was flying in from Brazil a few days later. So I came to set up everything for my engagement. And I was about to rent a car. And my father-in-law says, Yosef, why are you going to rent a car? I have a brand new car. Please use it, enjoy it. And I was driving a brand new car. In those days, the car was Delta Oldsmobile 88 with power windows and power locks. We're going back 1987. Probably the younger crowd says, Rabbi, what's the big deal? Every car today has backup camera, power doors, power windows, power mirrors. You need to know that in those days was considered luxury. And I had, it was automatic, and the car had cassette player. So I was driving from my in-laws' house in Miami Beach to Aventura, where my relatives live. And I was staying here for a few days until my parents arrived from Brazil. And I don't remember much. I do remember that I was driving on Collins Avenue. I had the windows down. I was singing. I'm not sure what. I think was Hallel. That I remember. But I woke up in the ambulance. So there were like 20, 40 blocks that I don't remember what happened. I hit a pole on Collins Avenue and 178th Street. And the ambulance came, and Baruch Hashem, thank God, after a week in the hospital, thank God I was released, and then I was in rehab for a few weeks. The rehab wasn't really rehab, was basically not being able to lay down, to sleep while sitting, because the sternum fractured, as well as a couple of ribs. So laying down would have caused, God forbid, a damage internally. But Baruch Hashem, the reason why I'm telling you this, because not only today was the day that actually happened, Baruch Hashem, and there were a couple of miracles. First of all, that I married my wife. My father-in-law wasn't upset at the accident. The insurance took care of it. So that by itself is a miracle. But I like to jump to last Friday. Friday, like for every Yehudi, is a short day, is a busy day, and you try to maximize whatever amount of hours you're going to be in the office to be able to prepare for Shabbat accordingly. Mid-morning, like 11:30, we get a phone call from a hospital. The patient calls, and it says, I must speak to the rabbi. And my office staff is already trained to filter the phone calls to try to see what is the need, if they can handle it. Maybe they want to know what time is Shabbat, or what is the closest mikveh. Easy questions that we get on a regular basis. And this person says, I'm about to leave the world. I must speak to the rabbi. Okay. I pick up the phone, and the fellow is telling me, Rabbi, you are my last hope, my last choice. I'm about to leave the world maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Please come and see me. Okay, when you get such a phone call, what are you going to say? Okay, I ask him, where are you? Aventura Hospital? Miami, Mount Sinai? No, I'm in Kendall. For those who know Kendall, I was closer to Cuba than closer to Aventura. It took me an hour and 20 minutes almost to get there. Wait, you don't know the end of the story. Friday. But because tefillah starts like 7 o'clock, something like that, I figured I leave 12:30. I'll make it by 2. I spend half an hour, I'll be home by 4:30. So bottom line, I said to him, you know what? Hold on a minute. I have a good friend of mine from Young Israel in Kendall. I'm going to send them to visit you. I says, no, it must be you. I try to negotiate with a fellow, Rabbi, and he tells me in a dying voice, Rabbi, I have no strength for this. Come or come. I said, okay. So I said to myself, I don't know who this person is. I never met him. I thought that he was Israeli when I started to talk to him on the phone. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to go see a fellow who maybe tomorrow, according to him, may not make it, or the day after. Let me take my tefillin. I'll bring tefillin. I bring a kippah. I bring a book of Tehillim. I bring him something, you know. You have to understand that when you have situations of this nature, you got to activate some of the spiritual element of life. Bottom line, after I drove, I put the address in the GPS. I park in the address of the GPS. That was the one building. I had to walk almost a mile to go to the fellow's building. Then I went to the floor. They told me, no, this is the room number, but it's in a different building. So I made many tikkunim, walking around from building to parking lot to building, going up, coming down. Bottom line, I found the room. I knock on the door. Who do I see? A goy. Yes. A goy. A Gentile. And I froze. I came with all this excitement. I'm going to help a Yehudi in the last day of his life, according to him. He was there, by the way, Has v'shalom, for cancer treatment. So this is basically the serious part of the story. So I froze. So the fellow tells me, what? You never saw a Gentile, a shahor, in your life? I said, yeah, but you look so familiar. That's what I tell him. Obviously, I'm not telling him that, you know, I could have sent you the priest of the hospital to go and pay you a visit. Bottom line, I ask him, why did you call me? So he tells me that many years ago, that's what I understood from him. He was slurring part of the conversation. He was on the heavy medication with all kinds of oxygen and IV, and every half an hour the nurses will be coming in to give him medicine, to do different things. And bottom line, he says, many years ago, I wanted to become a Jew. And I was told, and I didn't get that part correct, if it was from me or somebody else, why he should become a Jew. Fulfill Shiv'a Mizvot Bnei Noah. Follow the 7 Noahide laws. He tells me, Rabbi, I want you to know that in 6 months, I fulfill all the 7 Noahide laws. So what did you do afterwards? He says, I started to fulfill the 613 commandments of the Torah. All of the mitzvot of the Torah to the best of my abilities. This is what this Gentile is telling me. And then he tells me a few things which I'm not at liberty of discussing for confidentiality reasons. And bottom line, I left the hospital. I said, I wish you well. Obviously, I did not use my tefillin. I did not use the kippah. I did not use the tehillim. I said a prayer to him in English. May the Almighty give you peace of mind and a speedy recovery. Always be good. Always be nice. Always be thankful. I gave him a couple of vitamins of emunah as a goy. And I left. You need to understand my inner frustration that it took me 3 hours, the whole ordeal, on a Friday to go and come back. But God has mysterious ways. And here is what happened after I left the hospital. I'm driving out of the hospital. I stopped by the hospital kiosk. I buy water. I said, you know what, I'm exhausted, I'm drained emotionally, tired, traffic, bumper to bumper. Bottom line, I'm driving back home. Suddenly, in US 1, heading north to the 95 for those who know the area, I'm driving back to take the 95. Suddenly a car brakes, another car brakes in front of me, and somehow my brakes don't brake. And I hit the car in front of me. I hit the car in front. Baruch Hashem, nothing happened. Bender fender, as they call it in English. His car's bumper came out. My car bumper came out. The warning sensors are off. They call them. There is a name for it. No, the impact, yes. The airbags did not deploy, Baruch Hashem. And we are in the middle of US 1, 2 vehicles or 3 vehicles. I said to the other driver, let's pull to the corner of the street. I look around, because now we need to call the police to write the report. I look at the street to give the police officer the address of where we are standing, and suddenly I froze. Why? Because the name of the street was the name of the patient that I visited in the hospital. I have the pictures. I have the name in my packet. I'm not going to share this publicly, but feel free to approach me after the class, and I show you, like a movie, the message from my office staff, written with a piece of paper, name of the hospital, name of the patient, and the street where I had this accident. And I have all the evidence for the insurance. So I also took a picture of the street. I ask you a question. How many are the coincidences that a random phone call on a Friday afternoon calls me, and half an hour later, I have a fender bender, right, in the street of the patient that I visited in a hospital? Family name, relax. You want too much. I don't know. So my wife is telling me, maybe Hashem is reminding you of the accident that you had 34 years ago. And maybe you should remember and publicly share the miracle that happened to you 34 years ago. So I'm fulfilling my wife's, suggestion of saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the miracles that happen. But it must be a reason why this happened to me on this Friday. What is the reason? To be continued. Today, I don't know. I don't know. I did not get that from him straight. There are many synagogues. There are many rabbis.
Why you? He said you, only you.
Yeah, only you. He says, only you. I wanted to send a rabbi that is 10 minutes away from the hospital on Kendall, US 1 and 172nd Street, whatever. Or 72nd Street, Young Israel of Kendall. I wanted to, delegate. That's what we do. But, Harbe sheluchim lamakom. God has many messengers. And the worst problem would have been if I don't share this with you. Because the concept of Hashgacha Peratit, the concept of divine providence, it is something that we must remember constantly. As we say in the Yod Gimel Karim of Emunah, Shakadosh Baruch Hu HaMashgiach. God is the Mashgiach in our life. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Shehakol Nihiya Bidbaro. Repeat that again? Yes, because I was shaken up. I was shaken up. I couldn't stop thinking all Friday afternoon, all Shabbat, even yesterday, even as I'm speaking. It says, what is the message to me? Why do I need to schlep an hour and a half? Again, I left the office 12:30 with the accident, with the police, with the report. I got home 5 o'clock. Yeah, Erev Shabbat. This Friday. I'll show you the pictures after the class. Stay tuned. You understand? All right. This week's Torah portion, Perashat Hukat, it brings one of the most fascinating mitzvot of the Torah, that it goes under the banner of Hukim. Hukim means decrees. Decrees from Hashem, from the Torah, without the Torah giving us the reason why. We have many mitzvot in the Torah which follow that category. Some of the mitzvot we know. Kashrut, the prohibition of mixing meat and dairy. They are separated, they are kasher. You mix them, taref. Sha'atnes, the mitzvah of testing garments to make sure that does not contain the mixture of wool and linen. You separate them, wool by itself kosher, linen by itself kosher. We mix them, taref. Para aduma. And you read the parasha today. What was the intention of the para aduma? Short answer, to purify someone that was tameh tum'at met. Meaning to say, a person became impure by touching or carrying a dead body, etc. It needed to purify himself in a 7-day procedure known as the para aduma procedure. But what is the most fascinating part, and I'm only reviewing this from a halakha perspective, that the person, the kohen, involved in making the para aduma, he became impure. On one hand, the tameh became tahor, the impure was purified. On the other hand, the pure became impure. This is the only one who knew the reason of the para aduma was Moshe Rabbeinu. Even Shlomo HaMelech alav shalom, who had the knowledge and understanding, an unbelievable amount of reasons of the mitzvot, he wasn't able to understand. Amarti ehkema vehi rehoka mimeni. I say, I tried, but I couldn't understand. Although the Hachamim, as the Rambam writes in the Moreh Nebuchim, that the Hachamim and the person, the people, have the power to research why the mitzvot. There is nothing wrong to find reasons for the mitzvot, especially that the more a person understands about a mitzvah, the more itorerut the person has to perform a mitzvah. Now, if you look in Rashi and others, Mefarshim tells us that let the para aduma and be the kapara for the egel. The egel, we know back in Sefer Shemot, Perashat Kitisa, we discussed the sin of the golden calf. The para aduma, the para, I should say, is the mother of the egel. Let the mother clean up after her child. Just to learn a few halachot, throughout history, there were 9 times that the mitzvah of the para aduma was performed. We are missing number 10. I remember that a year or two ago, there was a para aduma in Lakewood, New Jersey, which the animal became pregnant and therefore rendered no longer kosher. I heard, I don't know 101%, but I heard that there is 1 or 2 more parot adumot, one in America and one in Israel, and they are keeping them out of sight for Ain Hara, because they made so much noise when that para aduma was found in Howell, next to Lakewood, New Jersey, that the Hachamim said, you know what? Ena beracha mesuya ela bedavar hasamui min ha'ain. Better keep it on the side, and the right time comes, Be'ezat Hashem, Mashiach comes right away, and we'll have the para aduma. Regretfully, as of this minute, we are not able to do the mitzvah of the para aduma. But that does not stop us from learning the laws of the para aduma. And we have a kelal, we have a rule. Whenever we have a mitzvah that cannot be performed, talking about it and learning the halachot are like if we are actually did the mitzvah of the para aduma. Same halacha applies to the mitzvah of Shemitah. We don't live in Israel. We live outside of Israel. So the mitzvah of Shemitah, that the land needs to rest on the sabbatical year, doesn't apply. But guess what? When we talk about it, unshalema farim sefatenu. So let's read quickly some of the halachot of the para aduma. So the pasuk writes in this week's parasha, Zot Hukat HaTorah. Already, the title of the parasha, it's called Parashat Hukat. It's not called Parashat Para Aduma, which should have been called Parashat Para Aduma. Because at the end of the day, what is the first topic of Torah portion this week? Para Aduma. So why do you call the Parasha Hukat? Because the Torah is teaching us an eternal lesson based on the mitzvah of the Para Aduma. And that's the reason why the Pasuk says, Zot Hukat HaTorah. If it's up to me, the Pasuk should have been written, Zot Hukat HaPara Aduma. This is the decree of the red heifer. But what the Torah says, Zot Hukat HaTorah. It seems that from the mitzvah of the Para Aduma, which we'll discuss some of the interesting halachot, I learned a lesson for all of the mitzvot of the Torah. And you need to know, the word Torah, if you write in the whiteboard the word Torah, Tav, Vav, Resh, He, equals 611. Plus the 10 commandments that we heard from Hashem, Anochi lo yelecha, 613. So this mitzvah of the Para Aduma seems to be a lesson for eternity. So the question is, why the Torah uses the Lashon Zot Hukat HaTorah? So there are a few answers that later on in the week we'll be sharing with the Kahal, but maybe I share one today. That the Torah, I believe, is teaching us that the observance of the mitzvot cannot be determined based on the understanding or the reasoning of the why of the mitzvah. For that, we have a group of mitzvot called mishpatim. Mishpatim means what? Commandments that even though the Torah does not tell them to me, as a human being, I understand. I know that I have to respect my parents. We know that we have to respect the elders. We know that we need to be nice to people. We need to be respectful to people. We know that we need to take care of the needy. We know that we cannot oppress the widows or the orphans. So these are different commandments that mankind understands. Then we have the next level of the commandments, known as Edut. Edut means a testimony. Shabbat, for example, is a testimony of our belief that Hashem created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day Hashem rested. Matzah in Pesach reminds us of the matzot. Torah, Shavuot, reminds us of Matan Torah. Sukkah in Sukkot is to remind us of the miracle of the Sukkot. So we understand that there are mitzvot that reminds us of historical events, if it's a holiday or if it's a miracle like Hanukkah, Purim, etc. And then you have the mitzvah of the hukim, the mitzvot that we are only do them because the Torah tells me to do so. So the Torah, I think, is trying to tell us that don't determine the observance of the mitzvah based on our understanding, but determine the observance of the mitzvah because it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the fact that it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it should be a strong enough reason why we do it. And then you may ask yourself, but why should I do it? Maybe I should research. I answer you back. Imagine yourself, you go to a doctor, and a doctor gives you a prescription. And you tell the doctor, "Doctor, why are you giving me this prescription?" So the doctor says, "Sweetheart, for me to answer you that, it took me 12 years into college, into residency, hundreds of hours in the hospital, learning about chemistry, learning about the body, and learning how specifically this medicine helps and this medicine does not hurt," which we all know very well in the field of medicines, that sometimes medicines have side effects. Mitzvot don't have side effects, with exception of one mitzvah. Today's mitzvah, Para Aduma. The side effect of the mitzvah is that makes someone tameh. And we don't understand. If mitzvot are to get us closer to Hashem, mitzvot are to strengthen our bonding with Hashem, so how could it be that there is one mitzvah that makes the person tameh? We have no answer today. Hopefully Mashiach will come soon, and Moshe Rabbeinu will share with us the secret of the Para Aduma, and that's why the Pasuk says, "Veikhu elecha para aduma, lecha ani megale velo leacherim." God says to Moshe, "To you I'm revealing the reason behind it, but not to the rest of us. And I'm sure that Be'ezat Hashem, between tomorrow and Friday, we'll revisit this topic with more insights. Let's read quickly. Mizvah para aduma, Rambam, chapter 1, halacha 1. The red heifer to be 3 to 4 years old, because that is when the animal, it's called para. That's when the animal, it's called a cow. Before that, it's called egel. B'imayta zekena, what happened if this animal, instead of being 3, 4 years old, it turned 5 years old, yani older? Do you use it or not? The answer is yes. As long as that the animal is kasher, which in a moment we'll learn what renders the animal kasher or not kasher, אלא שאין ממתינים לה, שמה תשחיר ותיפסל. Don't delay in the ceremony of slaughtering and burning the para, because the older the animal becomes, the more chances that the animal will become not kosher. And poskim alei damim, in the event that you did not find a cow, but you did find an agla, you did find a baby cow, you buy it and you raise it and you protect it until it's suitable for offering. Halacha number 2, temima. Temima means complete. Shetehe adam dumit. It needs to be done completely red. Now, היו בה שתי שערות לבנות או שחורות. What happens if this animal had 2 white standing hairs or black? So there is a difference in the answer. If the problem is on the top or the problem is in the root. If the root of the hair is red and only on top is white or black, not a problem. But if the bottom, the root, meaning whatever is connected to the scalp, it's black or white, it's rendered the animal no kasher. Belly nether tomorrow, I'll hope to remember, I'm going to bring a book that describes what is the meaning of this verse. When the pasuk says, para aduma temima asher lo ala aleha ol, although these are halachic requirements, para, cow, aduma, red, temima, completely red, asher lo ala aleha ol, there was no yoke on top of it, meaning the animal was never used for riding or to leaning on top or to carry merchandise. This pasuk, belly nether tomorrow, we're going to dissect the pasuk and we're going to explain how each word of this pasuk carries a spiritual message to the life of every Yehudi. And the halacha continues the way I just described, the concept of looking where the coloring comes from, if it's from the top or if it's from the bottom. Let me just find one more thing. Just 1 second. Okay, this will save belly nether tomorrow because this is going to blend in with the special spiritual explanation of the halachic requirements of the perasha. Let's go 3 minutes with your permission. 3 or 4 minutes. 6 minutes, better. Haram to leave the timer in 34. Let's go to 40. This is from yesterday and today. Yesterday, Sefer Hasidim tells us how a Talmid Chacham said to his son that he should not, shelo yehene yoter midai mina olam hazeh. You don't need to live the ultimate luxurious lifestyle. You don't need to have the latest gadgets. Try to tone down a bit. ושלא יעברו ימים יותר מ30 בלא תענית. And make sure that once every 30 days, fast. Continue. Now, we understand very well that the world is divided into two parts, Gashmiut and Ruhaniyut. The materialistic aspect of life and the spiritual aspect of life. I will tell you the following. The more materialistic, the less spiritual. The more spiritual, the less materialistic. Do you make sense? I think we all agree. And I think that this is what the rabbi was telling his son. Maybe the rabbi had wealth, and maybe the son was a very wealthy person, and he's telling him, even though you are wealthy, remember your connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, you may ask, why the fasting? Sefer Hasidim says that the father who is talking to his son, he used to fast once every 30 days. Maybe Erev Rosh Chodesh, that the Halakha calls Erev Rosh Chodesh Yom Kippur Katan, a miniature Yom Kippur, as we discussed this, the Gemara that says that Korach, right? Every Rosh Chodesh, he comes out, he's promoted from wherever he's at, and it says, Moshe Emet, Betorato Emet, Uvadaim Anan, Moshe is true, the Torah is true, and we were wrong. So we understand that when a person does ta'anit, there is a certain level of anava, I believe. There is a certain level of humility that a person feels a bit weak, realizing that how weak the human body may be. Another message of Sefer Hasidim is how should a person say hello to his rabbi. I don't feel comfortable talking about it. Okay, but it's part of the menu, you know. You go to in the airplane, what do you want? Chicken or chicken? You know, you got to take whatever they offer you. It's not a la carte. So that is the menu of the day. אל ייתן שלום לרבו, כדרך שנותנים חברים זה לזה. Don't say hello to your rabbi the way you say hello to your friend. Obviously, Baruch Hashem, people treat us with a lot of kavod, and I'm sure you do it wherever you may live. So I'm going quickly on the topic. ולא יחזיר לו שלום, כדרך שמחזירים שלום זה לזה. And don't answer back the way friends answer to one another. Another message, it says here that a person wasn't given complete rest after 120 years in Shamayim, in the world. Why not? It says, because whenever he saw books that were torn or were pages loose on the floor, the person never picked them up to put them into the Geniza. Yani even small things that to us is a given, Sefer Hasidim says that in Shamayim they also take into consideration this type of actions. One more. Says Sefer Hasidim, Ehov et Hashema usna et ma bekach. Let me explain. Shema in Hebrew, in Aramaic, maybe it means perhaps, maybe. Ma bekach means what's the big deal? To say what's the big deal, let's say, depends where you use this sentence. Let's say when it comes to a mitzvah, or when it comes to do something good, and then the person has an attitude, what's the big deal of the mitzvah? That is not something proper that a Yehudi should have as a way of life. That is what the Sefer Hasidim quotes from Masechet Derech Eretz. Or even when you speak, or when you say something, let's say that you make an appointment to meet someone at 10 o'clock. And then I show up at 10:30. And then you say, we met at 10. So imagine yourself, I answer you, what's a big deal? It's only 10:30. What is the meaning is what's a big deal? You have somebody waiting 30 minutes for you. Respect, excellent. Gezel Zeman. You're stealing the time. Maybe that person in half an hour could have done something else. Or maybe the person reshuffled the day. So I think that the message is that a person should be perhaps sensitive to others and sensitive also when it comes to Avodat Hashem. This chapter, Be'ezat Hashem, will continue tomorrow. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך הרבה להן תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר. קדיש. אמן. אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ודרום ינסה ויתהדר. אמן. 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 ביש الزباب بربا بالسلام. أمين. أمين.